You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
Hey guys, thanks for downloading the show. It's the second episode in the Festival of Friendship, and I said that I would be making announcements each week leading to the Thanksgiving episode. I didn't expect to have one on this show, but I just found out that I made it to Spotify, which is really hard to get on, and I'm really, really happy that I was able to do that. So as of today, this episode is literally available everywhere podcasts are available. I've said that for a long time, and I actually thought a few times about just throwing in, except Spotify. I thought, oh, that kind of sounds stupid. I don't really want to shine a light on that, but now we're everywhere. So if you are listening to this on Twitter or Facebook, you can get the show on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, SiriusXM, Spoke app, and Spotify. So that's pretty awesome. And this episode's probably going to be a little shorter than usual. I've had a lot of things come up in the last 24 hours that I got to take care of as soon as possible. But as you heard in the intro, this is the Dumbass of the Year episode for October. Benny couldn't be on the show today, but joining me now is the person who was on the very first Dumbass of the Year episode, and that's Mama Kate. How you doing?
I've been on the first of every episode.
That's right.
I'm just the go-to, the backup.
No, I wouldn't say the
I'm
backup.
the backup. Yeah.
The go-to was right, though. Everything that we do on the show, I either try to make sure you're the first, or somehow we just stumble into it.
Yeah, it just works out that way.
One or the other. Because you were on... Well, I can't just say you were on the first martial law episode. So far, you've been on every martial law episode. Which that's almost has to change.
Yeah.
We might as well call it Katie's in Court with Someone.
Well, I did change my Twitter handle to Mama Kate is Angry because it seems like everything I tweet about is just me being angry. Like I took it away from Facebook because people are like, I just want to see pictures of your dinner and kids and kittens and puppies. I'm like, all right, fine. If that's what you're focused on, I'll take my real stuff to Twitter. So that's a bit more Twitter active, but it's mostly just me being angry.
Well, last time you were on the show was that episode of Martial Law with Choo Choo Stew. And he's been on another episode of Martial Law since then.
I know.
And that was with UFC Hall of Famer Dan the Beast Severn. And because of the song that Stu sung, I think it's fair to say for his punishment, but I think we all make our own choices in life, and Stu didn't have to do something as fucked up as sing that song. It was horrible. I love the people of Michigan, especially now that I know Dan lives so close to me. And Dan came on, and Dan kicked Stu off the show. If you go to WeDon'tHaveCookies.com, Stu's profile is gone.
Wow.
So Stu's out. How do you feel about Stu being off the show now?
I guess I should feel sad or maybe guilty.
To be fair,
responsible, but I don't.
I was trying to decide what Stu's punishment should be, and I talked to Mama Kate, and she sent me a link to the song that I had Stu sing.
I did. Well, I'm not admitting to anything. I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment rights. Which I realize this is an international court, but we still have Fifth Amendment rights, right? The Constitution still reigns supreme here in Ohio.
Yeah. And, if Stu would have been a little more prepared, he could have pled the Fifth.
That's true.
Maybe he'd still be here today.
That's true.
So now I'm blaming that on Stu, too.
It's really all his fault.
He
and
needs
he
a
had
lawyer.
to choo-choo on out of here.
He needs a lawyer. That's
Yeah.
what he needs.
He should have known better than to come up against me. He should have known I would win. I'd take him down.
And just in case anybody missed the last episode, Dan the Beast Severn is now the bailiff for the martial law episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a hell of an announcement. That's hard to believe that somebody of that caliber is now my bailiff.
Would want to be your bailiff.
Yeah. So take that, Judge John Hodgman.
There you go.
We are officially the highest comedy court in the world.
Yeah.
And if John Hodgman wants to come on the show and dispute it, he's more than welcome. The door is open.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like for that to happen, actually. I'd like to have John Hodgman on here. He's a good guy. So
I enjoy John Hodgman.
Yeah. Well, I have a this or that scenario from our friends over at the This or That podcast. The question is, and I was really hoping Benny would be here just because of this question, because we're two guys.
Once again, I'm just the backup disappointment, you know.
It's because we're both two heterosexual guys, and I really wanted to see how this question was going to go. Would you rather go on a date with Captain America or Iron Man?
I guess Iron Man. I don't think I would enjoy being with Captain America. He's too good, I think. I don't know. It just annoy me.
See, that's where I have to differ. I would go with Captain America because I'm clearly not into it. And I think he would be enough of a gentleman to still treat me nice.
That's true, even though he wasn't going to get anything out of it.
And let me go home at night. I think Iron Man would just take it.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm sorry, this is how it's going to go. And I don't think there's any escape
Iron Man
from
has
Iron
enough
Man.
options that he doesn't have to be a rapist.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I mean,
but
but you never know how, you know, different people get their jollies. I guess I'm just one of those rare people that doesn't give a crap about superheroes at all.
I think the last two times you've been on, or at least it seems like the last two times I've done the this or that scenarios, there's been superheroes involved.
And and I always say the same thing. For me, it's just it's too much. Like, it's too many stories. I didn't read comics. It's too much to keep track of. Who has what power, this power.
It seems like the more people that get introduced, the powers just diminish a little bit every time.
Well, exactly.
Because I like the Marvel movies and things like that. I'm not so big on the shows on Netflix, but the one dude who just shoots arrows.
Yeah.
That to me seems like that could be anybody. You know, I don't know where the
They could just be a really good archer.
Yeah.
I don't know if that classifies as superpowers.
Right. Spider-Man, I get it. The Incredible Hulk, I get it. Iron Man, I mean, even though he doesn't have superpowers, he has a badass suit. This dude's just shooting a really cool bow and arrow. It's not impressive to me. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm just not immersed enough into that world to know, but
it's a fine line between superpower and just really cool.
Yeah. So what have you been up to since you were last on the show? Have you still quit smoking cigarettes, or are you still doing the vape pens and all that?
Yeah. You know, honestly, at this point in time, I feel like I'm not sure why I've quit smoking. It turns out I'm the world's most useless human being. I can't get a job to save my life, even with a college degree and manage 6 children. I can't even get a call or an interview. And I'm like, at this point, I have no retirement. I don't even qualify for Social Security because I haven't worked enough. I'm going to be a drain to my kids and my husband.
Well, thank God you got 6 of them.
Yeah.
At least one of them's going to help
I
you
mean,
out.
that's the hope.
Yeah.
You know, you just hope they all stay out of prison. They all have jobs. You know, one's going to be gay, and you hope one's rich. That's my expectations. And I'm fine.
That's
like,
reasonable.
that's great. Yeah. Like, that's all I hope. Like, don't be an asshole. That's my only goal as a parent. So, I'm like, why did I quit smoking? I might as well die at, 60. What am I hanging on to?
I got you.
I have no job, no use. As my kids get older, they need me less and less. I spend a lot of time sitting at home and crocheting things that nobody wants. But But I'm so just in general depressed that like nothing's funny. So I don't even have any comedy to like take out on the road. I'm just depressed with the world in general. Trump being president is just, I mean, seriously, has thrown me under the bus every day because I'm a news junkie. So every day reading what's going on in the world is just more and more depressing. I'm like, we're all going to die. You know, Trump's going to kill me way before Marlboro Lights will. So why am I bothering at this point?
Every Tuesday at 10 p.m., I always think of you when I watch American Horror Story Cult.
Why?
You just have to watch it. But you also got a cat too.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit when you were on last time.
Yeah. He wants nothing to do with me. This cat isn't interested in me at all.
He's a Republican.
Yeah, exactly. He has gravitated towards my 14-year-old, who is the most right wing of us, I guess. I don't know if it's just an effort to piss me off. But the cat hangs out with him. He doesn't want anything to do with me. I mean, even my cat thinks I'm useless. He's like, you're just the bitch that scoops my poop.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to make a drug deal. I have tons of fresh catnip that I'm giving Mama Kate.
It does feel like a drug deal.
It does.
Yeah, on a major scale, because I hope I don't get pulled over with my grocery sack of dried catnip.
I have a whole washstand rack full of catnip dried. I just happened upon these plants. It wasn't like I went out and bought them and I'm trying to start some grow operation.
I don't believe it. I just want people to know that Jason has a cat chair in his living room. Like next to his desk is a little chair that's for his cat. I want you to take a picture of that chair and show people to see that I'm not full of shit. Jason is a crazy cat person. They have conversations. They have like secret signals.
I'm sure they believe you if they're a long time listener, because if people remember, I actually made him his own room.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Which is he ever in? Does he ever go in his own room?
No, the couch blocks it. So
yeah,
that kind of got ruined. That's okay. All right, guys.
You just have to get rid of that couch.
Yeah.
You're going to have to move to a love seat. Can't have my cat's room blocked.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll crown a Dumbass of the Year for October.
And now, Comedy A Go-Go presents Fake Advice for New Comics.
If you had a bad set, remember, don't blame yourself. It's the audience fault.
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail.
All right, we're back. And
are we back? Are you recording?
Yeah.
Are you really? I want proof.
Yeah. Yeah, I started right as soon as we went to, not too long after we went to break, just to be safe.
Yeah.
I try to make sure that I record as much as I can, which is a good thing because one of my favorite episodes was with Kenny Bolin.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one that I just happened to turn the recorder on. And now I try to do that as much as possible just to make sure shit doesn't go south.
Well, that episode with me and Stu, the one was just us talking while you were getting ready because you didn't start recording when I was here.
Yeah, me and you had a pretty good 1 hour show.
Yeah, it was a solid amount of time. And then we stop and
some good topics.
Which you don't know about because you weren't here and Jason didn't record it.
And I think I nominated myself for Dumbass of the Year. No, I can't remember. I don't think I did. I've already been nominated twice. I'm not putting myself up a third time. But an unofficial nominee is the woman from Louisiana who baked a cake for a police officer that said, "Sorry, I tried to bite you on it." She was the loser in the first ever Guest Choice Dumbass of the Year. That was on a couple of weeks ago with Stuart Rice. You can go check that out in the archives.
You know, sometimes when you're sober, you feel really guilty about stuff.
Yeah. And she seemed to feel really, really guilty about it. And she seemed like she might have had a crush on the guy.
Oh, yeah.
And everything that she posted on Facebook about it has mysteriously vanished.
Really?
So
maybe they started dating and he's like, would you please, take that off for beginnings of our relationship? I don't want your friends to look at me like this. And then they made up a new cover story of like how he helped her home when she was drunk.
The next is one of my favorite people. I wanted to try to get her on the show, but I kind of felt bad, and it seemed like everybody was getting a hold of this lady. Maybe I'll try it anyway, but it was a woman who owns a restaurant in California, and there was actually a trending hashtag on Twitter about her called Popeyes Gate, where she was reserving Popeyes chicken at her restaurant. So much,
a bold move.
Yeah, so much where she was getting 2 huge things every day to bring back to her restaurant.
And Popeyes didn't wonder? I mean, what? Somebody doesn't have that many events,
So she did a shitload of interviews, which you can hear me go over in the archives. My favorite quote of hers was, "It's the best chicken." So she had to have it at a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's the best chicken.
Well, yeah, but then
I named the episode The Best Chicken because of that woman.
Yeah. That's a bold move.
Yeah.
That's really.
Yeah, it is. It's just surprising that she would get caught, not understand what the problem is,
Yeah.
and constantly say,
She's not
it's
a
the
lawyer.
best chicken. One of my favorite quotes was she said that she doesn't have a proper working kitchen and she can't fry chicken.
Then you're not a restaurant.
Exactly. I don't want to go over too much that we said on that episode, but how the hell can you admit to a news outlet that you don't have a proper kitchen in your fucking restaurant? And why would you even put chicken on the menu?
First of all, where are the health inspectors in on this? Like,
Yeah.
Second of all, I wonder if it was like customers like, hey, this really seems like Popeye's chicken. Like, did somebody bring her down?
That's
like
how
a
it came
reporter
up,
or
yeah.
something was like, there's something fishy about this.
Well, somebody ordered the chicken and they were eating it, and then they see somebody come in with a bunch of Popeyes boxes.
They were like, wait a second.
I'm eating Popeye's chicken with my waffles, and you charge me $2 more than I could have got a full meal at Popeye's.
Yeah.
Which you can't expect her to lower the price. So that, I think, is kind of a shitty argument that she's charging more. She has to. At the very least.
She can't, she's never going to get her kitchen fixed.
She's got to pay for the gas to go get it.
Yeah.
That's where the increase comes in.
I just don't understand how Popeyes didn't catch on to this sooner. They think she's running a catering business. I mean, nobody has that many events. Like, she walking in every day with a new story like, oh, grandma died, so.
Twice a day.
Exactly. I guess she's, sending in other people too, like, hey.
It's incredible. And she would serve the chicken strips and the regular fried chicken.
Wow.
I've seen people who are customers there say that they don't really mind, that it is really good chicken and it complements the waffles really well. And one of the main reasons they're there is just because of the ambiance of the place.
Oh. Does Popeyes serve chicken and waffles? I don't know. Because
No, but this always annoys me. One day I'm going to go to Popeyes and I'm going to do this. I'm going to order a combo number 1 because there is no number 1 on the menu. It starts at number 2 and I have no idea why. And every time I go, I always tell my wife, order me a number 1. I want to know what a number 1 is. I want to know if they know what a number one is.
Yeah. Man, now I'm hungry for chicken.
It does sound good. And it is the best chicken. Which, ironically, I had Popeyes the day that I did that story.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, because you're like,
Well, the last nominee, we only have 2, and it is my former neighbor, Jeff, for trying to overcharge me on the limestone for my driveway, constantly putting it off. And he made this weird, emasculating, misogynist comment. I guess that's how I was supposed to take it. I think it had to be, he was trying to make it one way or another.
Oh, was that the one that didn't get recorded?
That's when I nominated him.
Oh, okay.
This is where we're deciding who the actual month winner is. And he said something about, I forget now.
You need to ask your wife.
Yeah, he's like, oh, your wife's the boss now, or something like that. And I thought, she's the only one who wants you to do this job. That's why I'm asking her, because for the last week or two that you've been putting me off, I've been trying to go with somebody else, and she wants to keep it local and all this hippie stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of you, and I'm ready to go to, I don't know if Walmart sells it, but I'm going to find out. Fuck you.
I'm gonna buy 300 individual bags of rocks.
Yeah, those rocks you can buy that have the hidden thing for you to hide a key in. That's my whole fucking driveway. Good luck finding the one.
See, I was thinking like aquarium rocks.
Nope, we're going with key rocks.
Like blue and green, and you mix it up. It's all rainbow colored.
I like my idea. I know exactly which one it is. Good luck for you finding it. But it is out there. If you want to break in my house, you can search through the hundreds.
It'd be easier just to bust a window.
You get a prize if you do it.
Yeah, if you win.
Yeah.
Every weekend, there's 20 kids out there trying to find the key.
I have a safe that's bolted to the floor, and I included the key in there. So you get an extra prize.
Nice.
All right. So out of those two, who do you think we should pick to be the dumbass of the year? We got the Popeyes lady and the dumbass limestone guy.
I don't know. That's tough.
My big thing is she told two separate people that she doesn't have a working kitchen. And I don't know why the fuck you would ever tell somebody while you're being...
While you're serving food.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I can kind of understand why she felt she could buy their... I mean, she was serving it in a different product. It's not like she was saying this is my hand-breaded homemade fried chicken. She clearly wasn't trying that hard to hide it, or they would be carrying in boxes of Popeyes, while customers are eating. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the fact that you would be like, well, I can't make chicken because my kitchen doesn't work. Well, then you're not a fucking restaurant. That's just...
And the other guy, I don't know how you thought you were going to seal the deal on the sale by saying something so stupid.
Yeah.
And then when I did have another company, I went with an actual company, not just a guy I know.
Yeah, a guy with a truck.
Yeah. And they gave me a receipt for where they bought the limestone. Mm-hmm. And he was going to charge me, I don't know, about a third more, which is pretty substantial. Mm-hmm. I can understand 10 to 15%.
It just sounds shady.
You're a friend of mine, or I thought you were a friend of mine. I get it.
Not a friend of yours.
Yeah. But when I can go with a corporation that has fleets of trucks, the price is going to be higher, or you would think, unless somebody's trying to scam you.
Yeah.
And I got 22 tons. This guy was going to get 16, and I paid less, and they delivered it in one truck, all that stuff.
But see, I don't think he wasn't. I think this is where we got to get into what dumbass of the year really is at its core. And at its core, it's about somebody who is a dumb ass, not someone who is an asshole. So there's a difference. Like the Popeyes lady, that's a dumbass move. You know what I mean? That shouldn't have been your first route.
One of my favorite things is she went to some place in Atlanta, and apparently it was the first time she ever had Popeye's chicken. Mm-hmm. And she was quoted saying that she went to Atlanta, had this Popeye's chicken, and said, aha, this is the chicken I have to sell at my restaurant.
But see, she just went about it the wrong way, which, I mean, if you're a dumbass, you would be like, what's the problem? They got their money for the chicken. I'm using it
hours later.
Yeah, But if people enjoy that, then, I mean, I guess it's their right to buy it. That's what was my thought. I'm like, how is this chicken still warm? How is it still tasty? But okay, where was I going with this?
I think that we were both going to agree that we love this lady.
Yeah.
And although we love her, she is October's dumbass of the year.
Yeah. Limestone Jeff was just an asshole. Yeah. He's just a shady character who should not, just because your friend has a truck doesn't mean he's a good businessman, I guess is what I'm saying.
All right, guys. Well, do you got anything you want to promote before we go? I ask you this every time.
Except you usually say plug, and now I noticed you've changed it to promote because you're tired of me saying my butt.
No, actually.
No, I have nothing to promote. I'm in my living room. I'm watching TV. if people want to follow me on Twitter, Mama Kate is angry now, not Mama Kate comedy, because really there's no comedy in my life at this point right now. But if you just want to be nice and like cheer me up, that'd be great.
So make sure you go to Mama Kate is Angry on Twitter. And that's it for us. If you're listening to the show on Facebook or Twitter, you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, SiriusXM Spoke app, Spotify, and everywhere podcasts are available officially today. So make sure you subscribe now. You don't want to miss an episode. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.
I'm going to be a drain to my kids and my husband.
Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies, where possibilities are possible. Here's your host, Jason Marshall.
Hey guys, thanks for downloading the show. Thanksgiving is this month here in the U.S. It's a time where families get together and we have a huge meal and hang out. I'm doing the podcast equivalent of that, but for the whole month. I'm going to have all your favorite guests on, people who've meant a lot to the show, as well as some really cool new guests, and I'm calling it the Festival of Friendship, all leading to the Thanksgiving episode, which I call the Feast of Friendship. I have a lot of cool announcements planned all month long, and I can't wait for you guys to hear them. So make sure you spread the word, and if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now, wherever you're listening to this. And in case you're listening on Facebook or Twitter, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, SiriusXM Spoke app, and anywhere podcasts are available. On last Thursday's episode, UFC Hall of Famer Dan the Beast Severn kicked Choo Choo Stew off of the show. He's not allowed to come back. And Dan had so much fun that he wanted to come back today, and we'll be making a special announcement concerning Dan's involvement with the show moving forward at the end of the episode. I had a lot of fun talking to Dan. I think you're going to like the interview. It's an interesting look into a legendary man, and if you didn't know about him, it's a good way to learn more about the newest member of the show. There was a little bit of noise there towards the end, and he might have repeated a story or two, but I sure as hell wasn't going to say anything. Besides, how often do you get the honor of sitting down and talking with a UFC Hall of Famer? Oh, and just a quick follow-up to last Monday's episode with Karen Rontowski. If you didn't hear it, she reads tarot cards and she does stand-up. She's been doing it for 24 years, I think she said. She's been on The Late Show with David Letterman and on Ghost Hunters and a ton of other things. I asked her about the smell. It was a overwhelming perfume scent that was in our house for days. And I couldn't really put my finger on it, but it, I don't know. It just felt like there was something otherworldly about it, for lack of a better term, because it wasn't my kid's perfume. It wasn't my wife's perfume. None of us knew what was going on. And I asked her about it. And she said the scent in the house was the spirit of a woman who used to live here. And I was so desperate to think it was my mom, I really didn't think of any other possibilities. Well, the next day I was talking to my dad about what Karen said. And as longtime listeners know, this is the house I grew up in. My dad used to live here too. He told me that a woman killed herself here years ago in this house. I knew somebody killed themselves on the property, but I always thought it was a guy, and I always thought it was on another part of the property where there used to be a second house. So Karen was spot on. I didn't even know it. That was pretty crazy. And here in the next week or so, Mike Canistero is going to come on. If you remember, we had an interesting incident when Mike was here. I'm sure we'll talk about that on the next episode too, but I want to thank Karen once again for coming on the show. I hope you guys liked it, and she'll be back for the New Year's episode of the podcast to do a tarot reading about what the new year might have in store And I'm going to talk to her a lot more about her career because she's got a lot of great stories that we didn't get into on that episode. Since the new Thor movie just hit theaters this weekend, I'm going to play Epic Rap Battle of History's Zeus vs. Thor, but first, here's a reverse prank phone call by Eugene Merman.
Well, my name's Ben. I'm calling on behalf of Banana Republic.
Who?
Banana Republic?
What is that?
A store?
What is it? What does it
sell?
sell?
Clothing.
Okay.
Just so you know, this is an attempt to collect the debt, and any information obtained will be used for that purpose.
What kind of a debt?
It's a credit card.
Huh.
We were shown it was due for $32.
Really? I owe you $32 for clothes?
Well, the total balance is $324.43.
Okay.
All right. Is there any other phone numbers we can reach at?
No. The less you know about me, the better.
Okay.
That's right. You realize you're on a prank TV show right now.
No, I don't.
Yes, you're on a show called Surprise. This is all a prank show. Right now, this is a prank show. This is a prank TV show that you're on. So you feel? Are you surprised?
I guess.
How dare you challenge my immortal throne? I'm a father of the gods. Put your daddy on the phone. Baby Odin could beg me for a truce, cause when Zeus lets loose, I'll put your cross-dressing neck in a noose. I'm like Medusa, I'll stone a motherfucker if he looks at me wrong. I'm a bull getting bitches with my swan song. I'm on point like Poseidon's trident. Rhymes cooler than the frosted balls of your time. Allow Thor to retort, you shape-shifting rapist. I get a taste of the Scandinavian greatness, brought forth by my rage and thunderstorm force. Cause I don't get nice, I get Norse. Oh, holla at your boy and we'll fight it out. But keep your ass guard up, I Ragnarok the house. You tongue kiss your sister, that's grosser than a gorgon. I'm the thunder down under nailing Natalie Portman. Who would ever worship someone as abusive as Zeus is? You're ruthless to humans, your crew is like the clash of the douches. Ruling over the Greeks, of people weak and fright. I'd spit in your face, but you'd probably like it. Only a mindless fool would knock the fathers of philosophy. My Greeks built the bedrock of democracy. With astronomy, they charted out the movements of my kin. All the pinks on Mount Olympus and me the kingpin. Let this sink in, I'm about to rain on your parade. Easy trigger finger quicker with the bolts and Usain. Your history, I'll be the first to put it in writing. MC Hammer just got struck twice by Greece lightning. Rain, old man, this is hardly a drizzle. You couldn't give the women in my homeland the sniffles. You can keep your astronomer. I'll sail with the conquerors for thousands of kilometers, discovering the continents. I'm alpha dog dominant, you can't beat me. I will drop you like Greece's GDP. Send you deeper underground than the depths of your Hades. Now make like your daddy and swallow my baby. You think the underworld scares the ruler of the sky? You're joking. Loki must have written your line. By the time I finish whipping you with wits and rhymes, you'll need a ladder for your ship, cause a Viking just died. Your glory days are over. Your Oracle should have told ya. Kick your wrinkly dick back in your toga like Opa. Here, take these drachma for your eyes. When you get to River Styx, tell your three-headed bitch I say hi. Who won? Who's next? You decide.
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail.
All right, we're back, and joining me right now is none other than UFC Hall of Famer Dan the Beast Severn. Dan, you got your nickname from legendary NFL player Jim Brown. Can you tell me how that happened? Was he at a fight one night and saw you out there, or is it something that he said to somebody else and it just got back to you? How did that nickname come about?
Well, actually, Jason and I ended up meeting Jim Brown for the very first time, I believe, at UFC number 4. And then again for another couple shows. And in his words, he said, Dan, when I first met you, I did not think that much about you because here you show up wearing a sports jacket and a tie, and you're wearing glasses. And you are rather soft-spoken, and you speak rather intelligently. So he did not think all that much of me. And he says it was like watching Clark Kent morph into Superman. He goes, you take your sports jacket, your tie, and your glasses off. He goes, you climb in this cage. He goes, and you kind of come unglued. He goes, how in the world are you capable of turning it on like this? And I'm thinking, Jim Brown is asking me a question like this. This actually, I got rather giddy in the process because, I was in high school and I was watching him as he was still playing football. And here he is. He's a NFL Hall of Famer. And in my opinion, probably one of the most punishing running backs ever in the history of the game. He didn't run around people. He ran over people. And he retired actually at a young age. But it took, I think, two other individuals almost an additional decade of playing time just to beat his record. Had he played for just one or two more seasons, I doubt if any human being would have ever broke his record. To get the ring name The Beast. In his closing statements, he said, well, like when Dan Severn first came on the scene in UFC 4, he was just a wrestler. He did everything in his realm of knowledge for amateur wrestling, and he came up a little bit short in UFC number 4. But in UFC number 5, he's out there, he's punching, he's elbowing, he's kneeing, he's so aggressive, he's like an animal, he's like a beast. And thus, Dan the Beast Severn, it was branded right then and there.
Well, I heard on a podcast with one of the friends of the show. The podcast is called Answers for Real Men with Coach Arnie. You were explaining the acronym that you made for the Beast. Yes. Can you explain that to my listeners?
Yeah, the ring name, I'll say that the ring name The Beast is great for drawing attention. Anyone that really knows me growing up knows I'm just I'm like a gentle giant, but Dan the Pussycat Severn doesn't sell tickets. But, Dan the Beast Severn does. Okay, it's frightening. It's, so I had to come up with something, an acronym there that I could feel comfortable and I could live with. So I sat down actually with a piece of paper and pencil and just started coming up with, okay, what can I come up with? So the word THE stands for Dan Severn. I'm a teacher, humanitarian, and I'm an educator. And my message to young people is beast. To believe in yourself, to educate yourself, to adjust your everyday attitude, to study hard, and then to teach others, because you can't take it with you. So share in the wealth of knowledge.
I like that.
And a lot of it, it comes from different aspects right there, because, even in the biblical terms, if I give you fish, I feed you for the day, but if I teach you how to fish, I feed you for a lifetime. So again, I just take different excerpts that make sense to me, but common sense is not very common anymore. I think we addressed that in the previous email, but on a daily basis, I'm reminded more and more, and I've met a number of people that they're not exactly setting the world on fire with their IQ.
Well, on your last appearance, you talked about joking with Big John McCarthy prior to the fight starting. Was there ever a moment inside the cage during a fight that made you laugh?
Well, it's John is very professional. First time I met John was standing inside the cage just before doing a match, and John's very professional. He comes over to the corner and he speaks to the competitor, the fighter first, and he goes through his entire spiel. And at the end of the spiel, he hits you with the old, "Are there any questions?" And he'll answer with a question, and then he turns away. Well, this is my first time going through this. So he gets to the point, "Are there any questions?" Well, I can't think of nothing. And as he's turning away, something just pops into my mind. And I simply just blurted it out. I go, "Well, where did all that money go that my parents paid for piano lessons?" And he said he heard it. But when he turned back to look at me, he figured it could not have come from me, because here I have my game face on. It's just no way it could have came on me. Well, the second time, because it's an 8-man tournament, you're in the cage 3 times. So the second time he comes on, I'm prepared for the stick there at this point in time. He comes through, he goes through the same verbiage, and he gets to that line, "Are there any questions?" And I looked right at him. I said, "John," I said, "I wouldn't be doing this if you would just simply give me the winning lotto ticket numbers. and literally he looks at me in this kind of this bedazzled type of look, like, this guy is nuts. He's cracking one-liners basically seconds before he's about to engage in a no-holds-barred contest that has only 2 rules: no biting, no eye gouging. And so his wife, Elaine, is the travel consultant there for Ultimate Fighting Championship at this time frame. And he tells her, well, obviously time passes on. I get to know John more. I go out to dinner with the whole family and stuff like this. They realize, no, Dan's not crazy. Dan is just very, very confident and very relaxed. There was a couple times that my blood pressure was checked and stuff like this, or I should have my heart rate, and they can't believe how calm I am, how low my heart rate is before getting ready to walk out there. And they're like going, I've actually had one doctor say before, you should be sleeping with this. And I go, Doc. But the ironic part there, though, Jason, I'll see, look at that same doc. I go, I was just about 20 minutes ago. And because there's a lot of people, they'll come in and they'll see me back in my locker room, and I'll be using my duffel bag as a pillow, and I'll be just stretched out on the ground someplace, because there's no type of couches typically in your warm up areas and stuff like this. So I'll just grab a spot on the ground, lay down out there. But it's a carryover from my wrestling days, because you'd be at a wrestling tournament all day long. Your school, you leave on the school bus somewhere between 5:30 and 6 a.m. in the morning. You got to get to a place, and you got to go do the weigh-ins, and the weigh-ins might be starting around that 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. By the time you do the pairing and stuff like this, action gets underway maybe around 9 a.m. You got anywhere from, say, 16 teams up to 32 teams that are there. This tournament is going to last up until probably 9:30, 10 o'clock. Do you finally leave this gym to travel by bus? So you've spent an entire day in a gymnasium. So I was always good about finding myself a quiet area, a corner of the gym, and I would just lay down someplace with my gym bag and use it as my pillow, and I would just simply nod on off. I always told one of my teammates, this is where I'll be. Once they start getting around this weight class, come and wake me, because I will start to prepare for my match. And the ironic part is, all of these other wrestlers, they're out there hanging out with their families, and they're hanging out there with their girlfriends and things of this nature, but they're on their feet all day, and they wonder why they're tired. Or they warm up, and then they cool down, and they warm up, and they cool down. And to me, it's like going, well, I'm going to warm up once, and then I will be ready, and I'll go do my thing, and then I'll go and I'll shut back on down again. I was very mechanical, very robotic the way I did things, and people just couldn't believe that I could do this and really spend very little time on the mats, because I was known as the pinning machine, and most people just knew that if you better catch the action in that first period, because most men I went against never made it out of the first period before I pin them.
Well, you've been on the road a lot, even now. Do you have any crazy stories from the road that you can share?
Oh, wow.
No?
Yes, probably way too many. Some that need to be censored. but yeah, I have one book out right now. It barely scratched the content that I have. I literally have over 1,000 pages that I've kept in a binder. I just know that somewhere down the road, my memory is not going to be able to recall it. So I would simply jot down just enough notes, try to throw a couple of dates onto it, and throw a couple lines to it. To give you like an example, it'd be something like Leipzig, East Germany, Russian negotiations, lots of vodka. Now there's just enough verbiage there to now I can recall an entire story that would probably last 15, 20 pages of an actual story. And people, your listeners are going to be thinking, Leipzig, East Germany. There isn't no East Germany, but there used to be.
I was going to ask you too, how did you make the transition from doing MMA and amateur wrestling and cross into pro wrestling?
It was an easy transition going from amateur wrestling into mixed martial arts. The hardest transition was going from being an amateur wrestler to being a professional wrestler, as I like to call it. Because you got to realize One is a legitimate athletic contest, and the other one is a physical athletic story. Some people may or may not like it, but at this point in time, there's very few people I think that will ever say that professional wrestling a legitimate contest. Folks, if you cry on your Hulk Hogan or John Cena doll tonight, well, yeah, I'll take that burden right now. But it's a show. There are some of the most incredible athletes doing some of the most incredible athletic maneuvers without the aid of a safety net. I always tell people I've been hurt far worse in my professional wrestling career than I was in my cage fighting career. And that's hard to believe that cage fighting was safer than professional wrestling. But in one, you just have to walk out there and get results. You're not filling a window time. Whereas in professional wrestling, you're putting on a show. There's going to be an outcome that needs to happen on the company's perspective because the next pay-per-view is just 30 days away from now that we need to lead our storylines up to it. So it was really interesting to balance just different facets of my life, because even as I was an amateur wrestler, first dabbling into professional wrestling, I was still doing both. And again, that was as of the 92 Olympics. And then as 94, I jumped into the crazy world of cage fighting. So I was doing 3 different things simultaneously. And I was non-exclusive, meaning that I was the only wrestler on the WWF's roster that had no restrictions. I could work for anybody, including WCW, ECW, because they both existed at the time. And then, but I was non-exclusive to the UFC. I could work for any other cage fighting company that I wanted to. And, I was working for 35 different promoters inside the National Wrestling Alliance, NWA organization alone.
Were you ever approached by WCW?
Yes. Yeah, I was approached by Eric Bischoff, WCW, and actually even did a visitation with them. I think I was first contacted by WWF, then WCW, and then basically I think once WWF caught wind that WCW was in contact with me, the deal was put together. But we were, just give you an idea, we were in negotiations for probably close to a year because I did not want exclusivity. I was looking at a 2-year contract at best. I mean, it was. I signed a 2-year contract, but I signed a 2-year limited contract.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about was when you were in the WWF, you were managed by a man named Jim Cornette. He's come up on this podcast a lot. One of the guys who comes on here was best friends with him for over 40 years. And there's been a lot of stories about him, especially lately. What was your experience like with him?
Oh, great. I mean, Jim, I'd say Jim was a very protector of myself and a big advocator of pushing me to do more, or I should say pushing the creative team to do more with me. There was one time that, again, I'm there for one of my dates there with the WWF, and they want you to get there way earlier than what you need to be. But here I am in their makeshift cafeteria, and I'm there, and I've got my planner, and I've got my cell phone. I'm just there working on whatever I'm working on. And Jim comes in, and he's frustrated, and he's kind of blown off steams and stuff like this. He goes, Dan, he says, this creative team, they don't have a clue as to what to do with you. And he goes, you're the greatest thing to ever happen to professional wrestling. You're a wrestler who can wrestle. He goes, you're not going to sit out there and just cut promos and flex and stuff like this. You're actually going to take people down. You're going to discombobulate them. And he really was, he really looked out for my best interests.
Well,
I can't say, I mean, at the same token, I was a fan of his because he was quite the character. I used to see him in his younger days when he had the tennis racket all the time, the manager with the tennis racket. And, you could just see, he always had this grin on his face. He really did like the professional wrestling business. And the more he talks about it, you can see the grin that gets even broader and broader on his face. He's living that moment. And it's great to see someone that has that type of enthusiasm and enjoyment and passion for something.
Yeah.
There are other people inside that creative team that, oh God, this is just a job. And those people should have been doing something else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm getting an echo. Do you mind turning the speaker down just a little bit? I'm sorry.
I don't. I don't know how to turn down my speaker in the first place. Remember here, Jason, I'm happy that I can turn the computer on and off here right now. Here, I don't touch any of the. You're like, well, you must. I don't do nothing.
Okay, I'll try to speak a little quieter. Maybe the problem's on my end. Maybe I was just talking too loud.
No, he's a great guy. He did things with me on definitely on 3 different separate occasions. You know, when he was heading up Ring of Honor. He sent a couple of his guys, and he himself came out to my training facility. He was blown away by what I had here in Coldwater, Michigan. He just said, this is the most unique place he has ever seen in his life.
You mentioned your book earlier. It's called The Realest Guy in the Room, The Life and Times of Dan Severn. How can people get a copy of that?
I'll explain more on that probably on one of your later interviews.
Was there anything that you'd like to promote before we go?
Go to my website page, and that's just simply www.dansevern.com. Severn is spelled S-E-V like Victor, E-R-N like Nancy, dansevern.com. Rest assured, I'm not done. I'm still involved in professional wrestling. I'm still involved in mixed martial arts, different types of levels. I'm still doing professional wrestling matches. I'm still involved in mixed martial arts. I run my own company. And rest assured, the guy that in my timetables, I started amateur wrestling in 1969, was teaching it by 71, won my first national title in 72. By 1976, I'm the #1 high school recruit at my weight class, and I've got the GPA to go anywhere I want inside the United States.
Wow.
Of which I choose Arizona State. Let's just jump 2 decades later. By 1996, I'm the #1 cage fighter in the world. So to go from 69, 71, 76, 96, here it is 2017, I had a 20-year career cage fighting. I doubt if anyone wanted to do that again. I still do professional. I started even professional as the oldest rookie ever. In a nutshell, I have over 100 state, national, and or international titles and or records to my credit. There is not another human being that's close to me. It sounds like being really braggadocious. I go, no, I'm just stating fact. There will never be another human being that will come close to what I've done. And I'm not done. I'm about to write my next chapter. And then even after the next chapter, I expect to write the next chapter after that because I plan on being around for quite some time yet.
And there is something that I would like to announce, and that is from now on, Dan will be the bailiff on the martial law episodes, and I'm proud to welcome him to the We Don't Have Cookies family.
No, that's right. I will be the bailiff, and what I say, well, I should say whatever you say, I will follow through and carry out.
That sounds good, Dan. I want to thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on there, Jason, as well.
Well, that's it for us, everybody. Please go to WeDon'tHaveCookies.com. While you're there, you can get all the contact info to send an email or leave a voicemail, links to the Facebook page so you can like that, places to subscribe to the show. All the archives are right there, everything you need. It would also help a lot if you clicked on the Get Involved tab at the top of the page. You'll find ways to help the show, most of which are free. The easiest way to help the show is spread the word, so make sure you tell your friends. I want to thank you for downloading the show. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you Thursday.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.
This guy is nuts.